So, has anyone ever questioned you about your religious beliefs? Well, this film certainly does. How did it turn out? Let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. All right, guys, now we have Heretic, which is 1 hour and 50 minutes, coming out this year, 2024, and also is A24, and the movie is rated R, described as a psychological horror, psychological thriller, and a horror thriller. It is being directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Now, to be honest with you, off the rip, off the jump, off top, I don't know who these two gentlemen are, but if we look at their filmography and just scroll down a little bit, they did direct that movie in 2023 called 65. I did not see it, but I heard nothing but horrible things about it. If you did see it, please let me know down in the comment section below. However, if we go down a little bit more, they did write A Quiet Place Day 1, A Quiet Place 2, and A Quiet Place. And while the third one was entertaining, the first two were amazing. So if they was responsible for writing those masterpieces, we may have another winner on our hands. But when it comes to this film, my anticipation was through the roof. When I first saw the trailers for this, without it even ending, I knew I wanted to see this movie. I knew that I was on board, and I was like, man, I know this is scary, I know this is horror, but I'm gonna have to put on my big boy pants and go see this film because it is talking about a topic that I am somewhat passionate about, religion, and it just seemed entertaining too. The trailers were quite compelling. But before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what this film Heretic is all about. Two young Mormon missionaries are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and are greeted by a diabolical Mr. Reed, becoming ensnared in this deadly and intense game of cat and mouse. All right, guys, the first thing that I loved about this film is everything. It is great. No, I didn't love everything about this film, but I did like a lot. I'm not going to waste your time. It's a good movie, and I think you should go see it. Buy your tickets right now. There's a lot of repeats going on in theaters right now, sequels, and that's not a bad thing. I don't mind them at all, but I know that there are other people out there that want something original. You will get that with Heretic, whether you are religious or you're not, whether you're spiritual or you're not. There is something that you will appreciate with this movie because it doesn't show favoritism on either side, but you will be able to relate to it, in my opinion, because everybody is raised a different way, and that's how the characters are set up in this film as well, giving you just a different perspective on religion, especially the way that you're brought up. One of the greatest things that I just like about the movie is just the acting across the board. It's phenomenal. This is some of the best that I've seen this year. I won't go as far as saying, okay, this person needs to win the award, but it does need some recognition at the very least. There's not a lot of times where there is great acting in films or television, and so when there are, especially in smaller films like this that don't have just huge budgets, but again, this is A24, I do want to give it some shine. And that does go to Hugh Grant mainly. He was phenomenal in this role, even though he was the antagonist, he was the bad guy. And he was cast in this role for his involvement in Cloud Atlas, what came out in 2012. I did see that film once a long time ago, but I just don't remember much about it other than it was really, really long, and I thought that it was okay. But apparently the producers, the directors, the creators of this film saw something in Hugh Grant and wanted to bring him over in this film. Really don't understand because those films don't relate to each other at all, but hey, here we are. And Hugh Grant did a great job. This man is evil. And the thing about it is, even though he's evil, at the same time, you're rooting for him because you want to see what is at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the rainbow. What is at the end of his plan? Why is he doing this? What was his motivations? And for the most part, those questions are answered towards the end of the film. Whether you like those answers or not just depends on you, but they do address it in some way, shape, or form. Again, this does have somewhat of an ambiguous ending, and that may turn some people off because they may want something ironclad, final, and just concrete, but that may not be the case. You will be able to interpret the ending of this film in more ways than one, maybe three. I actually had to call somebody and have a conversation about it, just be like, hey, I saw the movie this way and this way. Did you see the movie this way? Am I tripping? Did I miss something? And we had kind of a little dialogue back and forth, and it actually made me appreciate the film more. And not only because of Mr. Reeves, played by Hugh Grant, it's also the two leads that we're on this journey with as well. I think they're great by the names of Sophie Thatcher, who plays Sister Barnes, and Chloe East, who plays Sister Paxton. Now, Miss Chloe East here, she was in The Fablemans. That was the Steven Spielberg movie that came out a couple of years ago in 2022. That was a pretty good film. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. We also have this young lady right here by the name of Sophie Thatcher that may be a little bit more recognizable for you. She was in The Boogeyman that came out last year, Maxine earlier this year, Yellow Jackets, the TV show 2021, and also the book of Boba Fett, one of my colleagues' favorite Disney Plus Star Wars show. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. However, I am not too familiar with these two actresses right here, but I will say after seeing this film, I will be. They were phenomenal in this film. I don't know if they was better than Hugh Grant. I'll leave that up to you, but across the board, the acting in this was great. I really did like their characters too, because they did put their best foot forward for the most part. They made a mistake by going into the house and not verifying if a woman was really there, and that is the rules of the missionary coven, if I did define that correctly. And again, I'm not ruining anything. This is in the trailers for you. But for the most part, they were cool, calm, and collected while they're being tortured mentally in this cat and mouse game that Mr. Reeves is playing. And their performances, their roles, their characters, like I said, I really did like the way they was carrying out their actions, putting their best foot forward, trying to make the best decision possible to make it out of this scenario alive. I was putting myself in their shoes like, okay, hey, how would I talk? What tone of voice would I use? Because I don't want to poke the bear or insult their intelligence to make them even more mad and torture me even more than what I'm doing right now. I really do like that. Of course, man, I like characters that use their brain and try to be smart and make it out of a situation alive. They were doing that in this film, and I really did like it. Another thing that I liked about their character is religion, of course, does come up a lot in this film, and they don't waver at all in their faith. They are standing 10 toes down with their beliefs, and they're not just gonna let some man punk or bully them out of their beliefs just because they want to make it out of a situation alive. Now, they may have to cross that bridge in this film, and you have to see it for yourself to determine that or not. But again, they are putting their best foot forward. I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I would be doing the exact same thing in a number of these situations. And they're very smart too, able to think quickly on their feet, put pieces of a puzzle together saying this makes sense, this does not, deductive reasoning, and all other facets that you can come up with to try to make sense out of a certain situation. But my point is, you are rooting for them, not just because the film tells you so, but you want to, because you really are attached to their characters. And again, especially with their performances and the way that you do attach yourself to them at the very beginning of this movie, the way that it opens up. I mean, they're talking about porn, making jokes about that. And at some point in life, everybody did peek at a little naughty magazine here and there. But it's just funny because these are two Mormon girls who seem like they're holier than thou, but they're having conversations about sex and porn. And again, the way that the film opens up with the camera panning back, looking at them, the cinematography in this film was off the chain. And what I liked about the opening is it felt like a regular film, but also found footage at the same time. Like, I feel like this movie was capturing a moment that will be told to another audience 20 or 25 years from now, but we're the first ones to see it. Like, this is the story of these two Mormon girls as they went down the street to try to spread the gospel, and this is what happened to them. Like, that's how the film is starting out, like a found footage VHS tape, but then just a few seconds later, we're diving in themselves to experience this whole little experiment that Mr. Reeves is a part of. There are Easter eggs everywhere. Make sure you pay attention to the butterflies. There's no such thing as a wasted frame in this movie. If they did shoot something, if it's in the aspect ratio, it will come circle back around to flesh out the plot a little bit more. And I will also say that this movie has great repeat viewing, because I'm pretty sure that you will be able to go and pick up a number of things that you missed the first time around when you're viewing it the second time around to enhance your viewing experience. I do recommend that. Don't see it once, see it twice. I'm pretty sure the producers and the theater owners will like you a lot if you do that. But I talked about the characters briefly and how I like them. And also the fact that religion is brought up in this film a ton and how it's addressed on both sides. I really do like a number of the ideas that it does present. I will be honest with you though, I am a bit turned off because it didn't present any newer ideas that I've never heard of before. And the reason why that's a big deal to me is because at one point, Hugh Grant's character, Mr. Reed, says, slight spoiler, once you know the truth about religion, it will make your stomach turn. You will want to die. So I'm feeling that if the movie is just going to drop a bomb on me like that, to where when I learn the truth about the religion, I'm not going to want to live anymore, they better deliver the juices. And the film just didn't, in my opinion. When it came to an end, it was a bit ambiguous. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. What happened to this big bomb that you were just going to let off to where people are going to have stomachs turned and they want to die? They don't want to live. Like, oh my God, this is life right here. This is really unfortunate. You know, it really just didn't stick the landing for me, unfortunately. And that's really the only thing that I did not like about the movie. However, on the flip side, it may be a farce because I talked about earlier how I like the characters and how they were standing 10 toes down in their religious beliefs. I think that when that question was brought up that I just asked, it was to maybe trick one of the girls in the film to make them sway a certain way in their beliefs. Again, there's just so much to unpack, and I will have to do that in some type of spoilery review or ending explained. And I think I will do that. So go ahead and click somewhere in this video if you do want to check that out, if you've seen the movie, because it will contain all spoilers. And there's really not much more that I can say without spoiling the film other than it's great. And I think that you really will enjoy it. Again, Hugh Grant's performance knocked this out of the park. This man is truly evil. And again, what I liked about his character is that he is challenging those that believe in other things that he does or does not believe in. And also, he has no remorse. These women in this film are terrified, don't know if they're going to wake up the next day alive, and he just doesn't care. He does not bat an eye. He's just like, you know what, y'all knocked on my door. We're going to finish this experiment, and I don't care how you feel about it. And that's just scratching the surface of the movie. I mean, it does get much deeper than that. But again, I can't talk about it much other than it's great, and I think you should see it. I mean, I really have no other complaints other than I just wanted more with the ending. But this is actually one of the better films that I've seen this year in 2024. It's definitely not the best, but it's up there. It's definitely in the top 10. You can have a conversation argument if you want to say top 5, but there needs to be more films like this. So A24, keep doing what you're doing. And this is not scary at all, but you will be at the edge of your seat just wanting to know the answers, wanting everything to be addressed. And they do for the most part, but just not everything. Make sure you come back for my spoiler review ending explain video. I'll go ahead and give my rating for this movie at the very end of this video. But for now, guys, that is just my opinion. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, helping me reach my next milestone of 75,000 subscribers. And guys, if I had to rate Heretic out of a 1 out of 10, I would give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Yes, an 8.5 out of 10. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace out, and I'll see you next time.